Alright, so last week I was talking about this pre-alpha strategy game, and I realized it'd be fun to do a week-by-week progression of actually building this game. And so today I'm going to be getting into the art of it a little bit. And this is what I've started with, but as mentioned, this is going to be a print and play game, which means that it's going to be low budget or I'm going to end up in the negatives, right? Because you don't really make that much money on a print and play. And since I'm not an artist and I do want this to be actually good, I have to create interesting strategies for actually making good art. And so I'm going to go through a little bit of that with what I have done so far with these example tiles. So basically I'm going to be targeting vector art because it's got a kind of unique look to it, and I want to have a consistent look across the game. And so I'm taking in bits and pieces of this and that from all over the place and editing it and tweaking everything until it creates something that I think looks actually really good. I'm pretty darn happy with a lot of these pieces. So I guess let's move on over to Photoshop.
Alright, so here are some of the cards I have so far, and I'm actually really liking the overall style, and I think I've got a few of the cards in a situation that I really like. Seeing it in this view, I can kind of tell maybe the text needs something a little bit behind it to make it a little easier to read. I like how it looks up close, but maybe I need to add that for clarity. It's good to have that kind of stuff in mind. So let's go ahead and jump into one of the cards. So like I said, I really like this one, and as you can see, nice and big. It's easy to read everything. Oh no. Alright, this is actually really upsetting. So I just got an absolute disaster. Everything's flattened. So I'm really not sure how or why, but I just documented an absolute disaster, which is that all my PSTs are flattened. So when I redo this, I'm definitely going to save a template somewhere else. But I kind of wanted to create a secondary template anyway, because as you may have seen, I kind of used the same background a few times and these rocks a few times. So I definitely want to mix it up while having the same look. So it's not the absolute end of the world. I'm at least trying to see it that way, but it's pretty unfortunate. So I'm going to do this part pretty quick because I don't want to make you watch the whole process. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So now what I have to work with is this. So let's go ahead and make a new card with the style I've kind of created, and I can show you kind of what I'm going for. So this is a pretty cool generic background I found, and let's just make it nice and huge. Ideally, kind of don't want the Saturn rings in the background. Maybe just like a little something in the distance at most. I kind of like this. It looks pretty cool actually. So that looks nice, and what I'm going to do is have a floating space station, and it's super useful, but you have to be able to get to the floating space station to be able to do anything. Floating station. Alright. A little bit like that maybe. Here, let's see how this looks. Gradient, let's do something like a gray at 100%, and nope. Alright, make it editable, and then back to this. Let's see. Where would the light source be? It'd be over here. Something like that. Looks decent, maybe a little bit of a burn. Let's see. Give it some coloration a little bit and a dodge. I want all this stuff to look pretty darn nice, despite this obviously being geared toward a low budget game. That looks cool, I like that. Seems like it's reflecting whatever's over here. That looks good. So another reason I like doing the art next is you have to make some decisions to at least make it so that you can actually play the game. So let's do can't be accessed without the jetpack. So let's make it less ready. Jetpack required to access contains one blaster, one drone, and one harvester. let's make sure all the text is well centered. And so in case I need to do this background, let's go ahead and see how that would look. I guess a rounded rectangle would look better, huh? Round, let's do 10, see how that looks to start. Still nice white, or this looks like a gray, but that's probably better. Let's just visualize what this looks like so far. Alright, so reduce the opacity. What does that do for me? Let's see. Get rid of that. Do I like this? I don't think I do. How about this? Something like that might work. I think what I'm gonna do is see if this looks good after printing and go from there. So let's see if we can read it and see how the visuals look. And let's just go ahead and export it this way. I like doing it in the batches, but it screwed up my Photoshop files, so I'm just gonna export it this way as I go from now on, I think. And let's do one more really quick. I'm just gonna do a simple one, although it might not actually be that simple now that I think about it, but we'll see here in a second. Alright, so here's the sped up version, since I think you get the gist from the previous card. Kind of just mixing and matching vector art and adjusting it and changing the lighting and all that until I'm happy with the end result, and I'm just gonna keep messing with it until I like it. So this is what I got for this one, and I'm pretty happy with it. Let's go ahead and print this out and see how it looks.
That looks great. I like this a lot. Alright, so here is the result. I'm really happy with this. It looks excellent to me. I think basically I just need a few more pixels in here, so I need to export at a higher resolution, but I think it looks really good. I also think the words are going to be legible with a little bit of extra resolution, which is great because I think having something behind the text would detract from the aesthetic of the images. Over here, these are the larger versions. I just kind of scaled it up to see if it would look better larger. I actually think it's going to work great with the size that I initially was printing with, which is perfect because these are kind of monstrosities, but I think it looks really good so far. So there you go. That's it for this one. This is the starting of the art phase of everything. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I think this is a pretty unique view on developing a game. It's not like there's a formula that I use in particular. I like to kind of see where the creative process takes me, but I do like that creating the art kind of forces you to make decisions, and it's also a lot easier to convince your friends to playtest a game that actually looks good. And so creating the art earlier on in the process kind of gets you more playtests, better playtesting sessions, and so you get kind of a better game in the long run. So I think going through all the art early on is going to be beneficial. So anyways, look forward to more updates, and I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one, Internet.